Right then, so last night we played our third official game in the UEFA Conference League. Just the 8-0 win for us last night, which obviously does mean that we are sitting top of the league table. I don't really get this whole new format, and I don't really like it, to be honest. I'm not sure what's going on with these UEFA lot's heads, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. But either way, it doesn't really matter, because I've got some good news for you lot, right? That means that we have now recorded 3 wins from 3 games in the Conference League, and therefore we have recorded 1 more win than Spurs were able to when they were in the UEFA Conference League. By the way, they played 5 games. We've only played 3. Now, in those 5 games, Tottenham only won 2 of those games before absolutely tapping out of the competition. They had a draw in there as well, and they were beat by one of our old friends, Vitesse. Do you remember Vitesse? Vitesse were like the Strasbourg before Strasbourg, weren't they? Because we sent about 200 players on loan there, including Mason Mount. He went there. Nemanja Matic. He went there. Solanke went to Vitesse. So either way, none of them were playing that day, but either way, it's relevant. But then, not only that, Spurs was spanked in embarrassing fashion when they lost in front of 4,000 fans to a terrific little side called NS Mura from Slovenia. So, yeah. But listen, it's not about Tottenham, I'm just saying, they also only actually managed to score 11 goals in those 5 games, whereas so far we've scored 16 in 3 games. So as much as people would like to say, oh, it's the easiest competition in the world, it wasn't that easy for Tottenham now, was it? And that for me is a win in itself. And speaking of wins, I was there last night, and despite the size and stature of the side we faced in Noah's Ark, an 8-0 win is an 8-0 win, and you can't be anything but impressed by the fact that we managed to ship 8 goals past Noah's Ark. So I don't see it as anything but a positive. I actually broke the dry spell last night. I did have 1 to 10 pints, and now I'm absolutely hanging out of my arse. The last thing I want to be doing is recording a video, but I'm doing it because we soldier through, and I love you lot, the hardcore. So make sure you do smash a like on this video. But because I'm hanging, I am going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, and not only am I going to quickly recap last night's game, but we are going to do our Arsenal preview right now. We're going to speak about the game, we're going to speak about Arsenal, we're going to speak about the fact that we could make it a hat-trick of away losses for Arteta's men, and we could end Arsenal's title race before it's even begun. Just 11 games into the season, and do you know what, right? If results go our way this weekend, we could move all the way to 3rd in the Premier League table. We could be 4 points behind Liverpool. We could just be 2 points behind the champions, Manchester City. And yes, I know that is a best case scenario, but at the same time, Arsenal will be desperate to come to this bridge and get a win, won't they? And therefore, they're gonna have to come and pressure us. And pressure is something that in the past, the Gunners have crumbled under. So without any further ado, let's get into all of it. But before we do that, people, welcome back to the JOEYK podcast. If you are new around here, please do smash the subscribe button, hit the like on the video right now. Let's get into it. Right, I've spoke about the fact that obviously we're not going to learn too much from these games in the Conference League at the moment because of the level of opposition. As much as I like to have a little bit of banter, we have to be realistic. The level of opposition isn't all that. So say, for example, a Disasi having a good game in the Conference League doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have a good game in the Premier League. And we saw it, didn't we? When that B team went to St James's Park, we looked bang average and got beaten comfortably, realistically, by Newcastle. I'm not going to draw a conclusion off of that one game, but what I'm saying is, ultimately, it's not the best indication of who's going to really be able to do what they're doing in the Conference League in the Premier League. However, Injuries do happen, touch wood, they don't anytime too soon. Suspensions do happen, and therefore we're going to be drawing from the data and just the eye test when it comes to, okay, who's been performing in the other games. So that's when we're going to be looking in to the B team and seeing who is impressed. Now, who impressed me from last night's game? Well, Jorgensen was decent enough. He dealt with everything that came his way, but when I say everything, there was, 2 shots, something like that. You're not going to learn all that much about him. I do think if Sanchez continues to put in shaky performances, then we will see him displaced at some point. But as for now, I don't see it happening. Disasi, along with Tosin, I thought were both very good last night. There was a shaky moment at the start where Noah nearly took a shock lead, but apart from that, they were solid enough. Clean sheet, how can you really argue that? 2 goals, 2 headers, 2 corners they were scored from, and they were laid on by the one and only Enzo Fernandez. And we'll speak about Enzo, right? Because I was really impressed in the 45 minutes that I saw from Enzo Fernandez last night. The set-piece delivery was really good. And again, this is where I'm going to contradict myself, right? Because I said, you can't draw too many conclusions from these games. Well, actually, a set-piece is a set-piece, regardless. It's a dead ball that you're kicking. So whether it's FC Noah or whatever they're called, or whether it's Arsenal, if you're whipping in those sort of balls, you're going to be putting on good service to the players in the box. And one of my criticisms of Enzo Fernandez last season was when I saw him on corners, they often weren't beating the first man. They were often pretty poor, to be honest. So I was impressed by his delivery last night. And not only that, he also got a third assist, didn't he, when he threaded that ball through to, was it Felix? It was João Felix, wasn't it? I was pretty drunk last night, to be honest. You lot will know if you bumped into me. But yeah, he threaded a ball through to João Felix from the midfield, from what we sort of thought that we were getting from Enzo Fernandez, and we have seen in glimpses, but we haven't seen as often as we would like to have seen. And then he came off on the 45-minute mark, right? Now, I don't actually assume that Enzo Fernandez is going to start against Arsenal without giving away too many spoilers, but that did give me an indication of 1 or 2 possibilities that I think could play out, and I will speak about them when I get into the team sheet, because if I didn't think Enzo Fernandez was going to have some sort of involvement, or if I didn't think that Enzo Maresca might have some sort of trick up his sleeve here, I think that he would have got at least an hour, 70 minutes, something like that. So for him to be subbed off at 45 minutes means that possibly there could be a twist in the story against Arsenal, and spoiler alert, it could be in the form of a position change. But either way, João Felix, he did well, 2 goals, but he also missed an absolute sitter, didn't he? What was that about? Probably man of the match for me, right, João Felix? But if it wasn't João Felix, I'd give it to Tyreek George, because I've said it time in, time out, terrific little player. And I think that was actually his full debut last night, wasn't it? I love Tyreek George. I saw him in pre-season, and me and the big dog, Josh Aveste, we were actually out in America during pretty much all of our pre-season games, barring the Inter Milan game. So we were watching it, and Tyreek George was a player that we were really, really impressed by. I think he has got a big future ahead of him. And we've got to speak about Josh's boy, Mykhailo Mudryk, who scored an absolute worldie. And do you know what, right? I said it before a ball was kicked. He needs to make this competition his own. And do you know what? So far, he's doing it. He is improving. I think the easier opposition is helping Mykhailo Mudryk obviously play better, which he's been doing, but then that is translating into his form in the league games, because I think a lot of it comes down to the confidence. I think that you'll see with Cucurella, right? When Cucurella first came to Chelsea Football Club, he had no confidence. Whereas now, look at him. Like, Cucurella's a leader. He's actually a leader. Like, I was speaking about Enzo being given the captaincy at times, right, when Reece James wasn't available. Cucurella would be right up there for me for a choice of a captain for Chelsea Football Club, you know. But I'm not saying he's ahead of the likes of probably Levi Colwell would be a sensible one, being a common boy himself. But yeah, Cucurella would be right up there. But either way, the confidence really for me is what turned the tide of Kukurea, and I think that Mudryk is gaining real confidence in these Europa Conference League games. And do you know what? As much as I said that when we get to the final of this, which we will, let's be honest, we're winning it, right? When we get to the final of this, I said that a final's a final, and if you're in it to win it. And therefore, I would want to see Caicedo, Cole Palmer and Jackson involved, right? But over on the wing, I would want to see Mykhailo Mudryk give him the nod. I wouldn't want to see him displaced by Pedro Neto or maybe even Jadon Sancho or one of these players that I do feel that is ahead of Mudryk at this moment in time. I would like to see him give him the nod there. Josh backed him to be in team of the tournament, by the way, and you can imagine he probably would be if he carries on starting every game and scoring goals, providing assists, doing what he's doing, because he's been looking good. He has been looking good, and he's moving up in the pecking order ever so slightly, because I said at one point he was our fourth best left winger at the club, and I don't know. I think he's getting better. When he's coming on in games, he's looking better. Nkunku, he was quiet, wasn't he? But he still managed to come away with 2 goals. So, yeah, not too sure. But Mark Yu even got his first, pressing really well in that first half. That was all we saw. So, a good night at the office. Now let's move on to Arsenal. Well, they have only got 2 wins in their last 6. And those wins were against Shakhtar Donetsk, who absolutely fell to pieces once Mykhailo Mudryk left. They're a shadow of them former selves. And Preston in the Cup. Now, they're only below us on goal difference, but I don't know. As I say, if we were to win this one, it would be a hat-trick of away losses for Mikel Arteta's men, and that is definitely not what they would have been looking for going into this period of the season and this next international break. And they are more gettable this season because the defence has been solid over the last couple of seasons, hasn't it? And I'm not going to say it's all of a sudden falling apart, but it is a little bit more shaky. And do you know what? But before we get into all that, have you ever wanted to chat to the big dog and I directly? Specifically, have you ever thought, I wonder who the lads are picking for their team sheet before the video goes up, or who we are betting on in the Premier League games this weekend? Well, this is the perfect time because I am very happy to announce that StakeMate are now the official sponsor of the Joey Knight podcast, and by downloading their app, you can chat directly to myself and channel fan favourite Josh Aveste. And some of you watching are already in the Joey Knight squad chat, and if you're not, what are you doing? Now's the time. But what is StakeMate, you may ask? Well, this review on the App Store will explain it far better than I ever could. This app is as if Bet360 and Snapchat had a baby. Great sportsbook and a great group chat to chat with the lads. But how does it work? Well, the first thing is you need to be 18 years or older and living inside the UK. After that, you just need to click the link in the description to this video and download the StakeMate app. Then you go through the sign-up process, which literally takes 2 minutes. Once you're logged in, at the bottom of the page, hit groups, and then on the top left-hand side of the page, tap the bit that says invite code. Once you do that, type in JOEYK, all capitals. Then you will be a fully fledged member of the Joey Knight squad. You can feel free to ask us questions that we can then answer in our videos. You can connect with other channel members, and you can even give us your bets to suggest to us to place this weekend. And every single week, I put on an ACCA and share it in the group. And if you want, then you are able to have the same accumulator put on with one simple tap. Right, so I'm on the app now, and do you know what? I don't really pre-plan my bets all that much, probably why I lose a lot of them, but I go with my gut because that is what I trust in life. And my gut is telling me that Fulham are going to get the away win against Crystal Palace. I think that West Ham are going to get a win against Everton at home. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to back Southampton to get their first win of the season, and I think that Aston Villa are going to rock up to Anfield and take a point off of Liverpool. So with those 4 selections, the odds have changed there. I've accepted it. Do you know what? Look, it's offering me to use my £5 free bet. I'm going to do that as well. And by placing a £5 bet, I can stand to return £486. That is phenomenal odds. Then, as always, what I'm going to do is I am going to share that bet with you lovely lot. Clicking share in the top left-hand corner into squads. Put it in the Joey Knight squad. Bet for this weekend, lads. Now, any of you that are already in there will have just received that bet right away, and you can decide whether or not you want to go with it or whether or not you would like to go with something else. And the good news just keeps on coming, lads, because when you sign up to StakeMate now, you will receive £20 in free bets once you bet just 10 quid. Not only that, they're offering even more bonuses as you play. So hit the link in the description to sign up to StakeMate today, and remember to join my group and our community by using the code JOEYK, all capitals. Remember though, you do have to be 18 years old or over and living inside the UK, and most importantly, we all need to remember to gamble responsibly. We need to be going into this one with revenge on our minds, because we won't speak about that game at the Emirates, but I still remember it, and it's still in here. It still hurts me a little bit. Not only that, they could be without Declan Rice, because apparently he broke his toe against Newcastle, and then he didn't even travel to Italy for the Inter Milan game, which they lost. And I say they could be without him because he could play. He could play through a broken toe. But then is he going to be at his best? I don't know. Has he been at his best this season? I don't know. But I don't want to stick the knife in on Rice. I like Declan Rice. Good player. But if he's broken his toe and he plays with a broken toe, then hopefully that hinders his performance a little bit. I know it sounds a bit salty to say that, but English or not, if he's playing against Chelsea, I don't want him to play well. Martin Odegaard, they're all saying, once Odegaard's back. Listen, Odegaard's had about 4 minutes of football in the last 2 months, mate. He came on in the 90th minute against Inter Milan. So are you really going to chuck him straight back in here? I don't know. I think that would be a gamble to do that. I really do think that would be a gamble to do that. And not only that, they've got a few more out, haven't they? Calafiore, he's out. And our only injury so far this season, or injuries, bloody hell, I don't know if that picked that up. That was really loud. Our only real injuries and misses that we've had so far this season has obviously been Reece James and Romeo Lavia, which both are now back available and starting matches. But there is a concern, because there's a certain man who may or may not feature and didn't feature in the humiliating loss that we won't speak about last season at the Emirates, and that man is obviously Cole Palmer. So why don't we get into my team sheet and we will see whether or not I have named him. Drum roll, please. Boom! There you go. There's my team sheet. Robert Sanchez in goal. Reece James right back. Fofana, Colwell, Cucurella. We know that defence, right, or that defensive two, I should say, and the two centre-backs, they are first choice. And I'm not sure that they will be displaced at any point during the season unless it is for injury. I think that Enzo Maresca very much admires these two. And do you know what? I'd say they're both doing well. I know we can, be a bit vulnerable at the back. We can be a bit shaky. But in big moments, I'd say Levi Colwell's come up for us and done well. And I'd say he's playing better this season than he was last season. Cucurella is obviously going to be at left back for me in this one. He was on the bench last night, didn't come on. And I think the experiment of Reece James at right back, just not sure with it. But what I do know is with Cucurella, I don't want him inverting in this match, to be honest, because we need to acknowledge, understand, and combat the threat of Bukayo Saka. That's very, very important for me. And if Cucurella is inverting, as good as he is at getting back, I don't want Colwell under too much pressure up against Saka. I want Cucurella to stay on him. And that means that maybe Reece can come in a little bit more and can invert a little bit more. But what I do know is we are going to have the solidity in front of them with Caicedo and with Romeo Lavia. Now, I have gone Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer to come straight back in, Pedro Neto and Nicholas Jackson. Enzo Maresca spoke about Cole Palmer, and he was sort of joking about, and he spoke about him. He said if he can work and he can eat, then he can probably play or something like that. And the tone and the sort of the smile on his face that Enzo Maresca had when he spoke about Cole Palmer leads me to believe that Cole Palmer will play. I very much do think. He said we still need to assess it, but I very much think that Cole Palmer will play in this game. But if Cole Palmer wasn't to play, right, who do we then go with? Who do we go with? Because I think the obvious option would be João Felix. He played well last night, right? And he can play in that 10 position. Nkunku is a man that obviously Enzo Maresca has used in the number 9, but I also think that Nkunku's best position is probably a 10. But then we've got to acknowledge the fact that he did take Enzo Fernandez off after 45 minutes last night. And Enzo Fernandez has been used before in the number 10 role. And I don't think he's great in the number 10 role. But last night, he did look creative, and he should have looked creative, because we were playing Noah. What standard are they really? Are they as good as a League 2 side? I don't know. I don't know if they are, you know. I mean, we only beat Barrow 5-0. We beat Noah 8-0. Was it 5-0 against Barrow? Either way, I'm digressing. But what I'm saying is, I think there's a chance, right, that in this match, and you can clip this because it may come back, right? I think there's a chance that in this match, if Cole Palmer is still sort of carrying a knock, that we may, at some point, see Enzo Fernandez brought on and play alongside Caicedo and Lavia just in front of them. I think there's a possibility that we actually do see that. Enzo Fernandez come in there and be the furthest forward midfielder. And maybe Cole Palmer comes off around the hour mark, something like that. I wouldn't opt for it, by the way. This isn't what I'm saying I want to happen. If Cole Palmer's injury was more than an impact injury, let's call it, we would know about it by now. He'd have been scanned, he'd have been assessed and stuff like that. I just think he got clattered and he would have been badly bruised and sore and whatnot. But I don't think he's done anything too bad, and that's why I think he'd be available. But will he get the full 90 minutes? Well, I'm not sure, because he hasn't been training. And if he doesn't, as much as there's João Felix there, as much as there's Nkunku there, I honestly think that subbing Enzo Fernandez off after 45 minutes last night tells me that there's very possibly going to be a chance that we see Enzo Fernandez in there at some point in the match, maybe from half-time onwards, I don't know, alongside Romeo Lavia and Caicedo. Will it work? God knows. Will it happen? God knows. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. You lot let me know what you think. Listen, Arsenal need a win here. They need a win. I don't think a point is good enough for Arsenal to come away from this game and to be able to hold their heads high and feel that they haven't lost that much ground on Liverpool and Man City, because they are losing ground by the game at the moment. And because of that, I don't think they're going to come and be as defensively resolute as maybe we've started to see them be a little bit more recently. I think they're going to come and try and attack us. And I think in doing so, they are going to be punished by the best counter-attacking starting 11 in world football. And I see us countering them with success a few times. Whether that leads to goals every time or not, I don't know. But I honestly think we're going to catch them on that counter. I think it's at least going to work for us once or twice. And I think it's going to be 2-1 to Chelsea in this game. I'm backing it. I'm putting it out there. I think we get our first big win of the season, because we've had the tests against the traditional big clubs, haven't we? You know, opening day against Man City, that 2-0 loss, I actually thought we were all right. I thought we looked decent, but we didn't come through it. We lost the game. We then lost against Liverpool. We drew against Man United. Let's remember we beat Newcastle, and Newcastle are better than Man United, so that's a better win, in my opinion. But either way, I think that if we're going to be, I think that we could not take wins away from any of the traditional top 6 clubs and still finish in the top 4 this season. But I think if we're to really cement ourselves and show that ambition now, we need to go and win this game. And I think Arsenal, they're not there for the taking, but they're more gettable than they have been. And it's one of them where Arsenal are desperate for a win, so you know that they're going to have to turn up. And this shows a lot about not only their resilience, but Arteta's resilience and ability as a manager to come through a tricky spell, then come to Stamford Bridge and to do a job. But I can smell something in the air, you know? And I think that is a Chelsea win. And in doing so, I think that would be the first time we've beat them in the league since... It's been a while, hasn't it? When was the last time we beat Arsenal in the league? You lot tell me in the comments. I can't remember us beating them in the league since the 2-0 at Highbury, fucking Emirates. I think it is. The 2-0 at the Emirates, where Reece and Ron both scored. Romelu Lukaku scored and Reece James scored, right? I think Reece assisted Lukaku as well. And I remember that was the biggest forced dawn in football because that was Lukaku's debut, maybe, or his second game upon re-signing for us. And we had just won the Champions League. And I remember thinking, that's it. Tuchel's boys are going to go and win the Premier League. And ultimately we didn't. But I think we're going to beat Arsenal 2-1 on Sunday. I will be putting out a video straight away after the game. So make sure you lot are locked in. Let me know your score predictions in the comment section below. Let me know who you would go for with your team sheets as well. I love it when you lot put your team sheets in there. I'm always really interested to read them. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and I will see you all in the next one.